Top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Reigning IBF bantamweight champion Ebony Bridges, the blonde bomber, took to her social media and posted a tweet that reads, "Hey Shotgun Shannon O'Connell, why are you and your team ignoring our numerous requests since the fight was signed over a month ago to register with VADA, the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association? What's the problem? How long does it take to say yes? You don't have to pay anything, we cover it. Just gotta register. Hashtag clean sport."
If they signed a fight over a month ago, one would have assumed that would have been stipulated into the contract.
We've known for some time now that Shotgun Shannon O'Connell, she's been on some hell of a run, collecting the unbeaten records, collecting the O's of several unbeaten fighters. Bianca Elmire, Taylor Robertson, Shernika Johnson.
Kylie Fulmer.
At a time when doping seems to be at an all-time high in the sport, Conor Benn's recent fiasco with a banned substance found in his system by way of voluntary anti-doping tests. At a time when
Shotgun Shannon O'Connell seems to have reversed the clock, reversed the hands of time.
I mean, listen, I do think Shotgun Shannon O'Connell is a great fighter, one of the better, more experienced veterans in today's bantamweight division, but it seems that Ebony Bridges, she suspects foul play, and she's waiting for Shotgun Shannon O'Connell to process the paperwork for anti-doping testing ahead of their fight.
You can't put nothing past anybody these days.
Because these days, everybody claims to be a clean athlete. Everybody seems to want a clean sport. They seem to want that until it isn't. They seem to claim they're clean athletes until they're not.
Until a voluntary anti-doping test proves otherwise. Ebony Bridges suspects foul play.
Why should she? For what reason should she be suspicious of her countrywoman and domestic rival, her mandatory challenger, Shotgun Shannon O'Connell? Is there any cause for concern there? And well, we know that Shannon's been on some hell of a run, but we also know that Shannon's not getting any younger. She's some years older than Ebony Bridges. Shotgun Shannon O'Connell, she's about, 38?
She's pushing 40, but she looks every inch a monster these days.
Far be it for me to cast an air of suspicion over what is otherwise a clean athlete, a clean fighter. I know of no voluntary anti-doping test that Shannon O'Connell has ever failed. I know of no banned substance or performance-enhancing drug that was ever found in her system. So by all rights, she is innocent until proven guilty. Though, having been a boxing fan, as long as I've been a boxing fan, it does make you cynical, skeptical.
Ebony Bridges is suspicious, and she's not making any bones about it. She's not beating around the bush. She's taking it to the public. When is Shannon going to process her paperwork for the VADA testing?
People talk. And Ebony Bridges, she draws really well.
What does that have to do with anything?
Absolutely nothing. Ebony Bridges, does she know something that we don't know about Shannon?
Like I said, under normal circumstances, one would assume that voluntary anti-doping tests would be incorporated into the contract.
And aside from the more recent fiasco involving Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., and the collapse of their fight, we've seen at least one other fight fall apart in recent memory due to non-compliance for voluntary anti-doping tests. I'm talking about what was supposed to be the unification match between Nonito Donaire, the then reigning WBC bantamweight champion, and John Riel Casimero. Very similar request from the Nonito Donaire people. They wanted John Riel Casimero to hurry up and process his paperwork so testing could begin. And Casimero's people, they dragged their feet. They didn't process the paperwork in time. The Donaire people got fed up with all...
They were going back and forth over all of that for a while. And, the Casimero people, they also said some not-so-nice things about Nonito's wife, Rachel Donaire, his manager and trainer.
And the Donaire people, they finally had enough. They were offering to pay for the voluntary anti-doping tests, you understand. It could have been a fairly simple situation to iron out. But that's not the way it happened, and the fight fell apart. Could this fight between Ebony and Shannon fall apart as a result of non-compliance from the Shotgun Shannon O'Connell people?
Fight's supposed to go down in December on the undercard of Warrington versus Lopez. Shannon Courtenay's supposed to be fighting on that undercard as well.
Could non-compliance from Shannon O'Connell result in the fight's collapse? We'll see what happens.
And I feel like he coming at a time when, almost like when Suge Knight went to go get Tupac out of jail for that $1.4 million. And then Tupac took his company to a whole nother level. I'm going to do the same thing with BLK, because at the end of the day, Terrence Crawford is like Snoop. He already got Snoop. And I'm like Tupac. So, you know, after this drop, you know all eyes are gonna be on me. So, hey, with that being said, man, welcome to Death Row. You ain't gotta worry about the promoters and the managers all in your video when you're walking out the dressing room. You're stepping on shoes. You ain't gotta worry about that no more. Ain't no middleman. It's just me and my homeboy Dez, man. And with About Billions and BLK Prime, we taking over the world. So y'all just get ready, man. It's just getting started, man. Love y'all.
That is former 4-division champion Adrian Broner, who appeared on Blue Blood Sports TV's channel here on YouTube to make an official announcement that he seems to have left the shores of PBC Island, and he has partnered up with the same streaming platform that's supposed to be airing the Terrence Crawford versus David Avanesyan fight.
Blah, blah.
A fledgling streaming platform, an outfit that's attempting to break into the sport of boxing, and they mean to do so with this upcoming Crawford versus Avanesyan pay-per-view.
There's no middleman involved here. There's no cable and satellite company to have to split the proceeds with because Black Prime is its own distributor.
So if you can actually get, say, 100,000 people, or 200,000 people, or 300,000 people to purchase a pay-per-view by way of Black Prime, the way the money's broken down, split up, it's different because there ain't no cable and satellite company to have to split the proceeds with. So you want to keep that in mind.
Though that isn't what has people's attention in reference to this story. What has people's attention is that Adrian Broner, by all accounts, appears to have parted ways with the PBC.
Do you remember what Adrian Broner said about boxing on Showtime a little over a week ago?
Great spirit. You see what's going on with Showtime?
What's happening? What the fuck happening?
But
Man,
boxing?
nigga, what's happening? Tell everybody.
That shit damn near over with.
Showtime?
Yeah.
How the fuck?
They talking about Steven Espinoza done. Man, they saying that boxing shit over with Showtime.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. It's some crazy shit going on, man. We about to be fighting on Twitter. We about to be fighting on Twitter.
Niggas mama's made snot come out my nose, man.
Hey, man.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
Nah,
They
don't
be
say
funny,
that.
dog.
Showtime ain't going through shit like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know if everybody knows it's you.
Hell yeah, I know, man. It's getting bad, bro. They can't even promise Earl and Terrence no guarantees.
Is it a coincidence that Adrian Broner was privy to information that seems to align with Mike Koppinger's recent report that Terrence Crawford wasn't guaranteed any money for the Errol Spence Jr. fight? All he stood to make from it was a percentage of the net.
Not even a big percentage. What was it, 35%?
This digital day and age, any number of guys on social media claim to have inside intel. Everybody claims to have their own sources. Guys that are going as far as saying that Terrence Crawford demanded $22 million guaranteed, $22 million up front. None of this can be verified, you understand.
There's no corroborating evidence. There's no video. There's no sound bites. There's no link. There's not even an official report that states anything of the sort.
There is no evidence to suggest that Terrence Crawford asked for such an exorbitant amount of money that the fight fell apart. All the verifiable information, what would be credible intel, seems to indicate that Terrence Crawford wasn't offered any money up front, any money guaranteed. These sound bites from Adrian Broner.
This is from 2 weeks ago.
We talked about all of this already here on the channel. If anyone would be privy to inside intel as far as what's going on at Showtime and what's going on at the PBC, Adrian Broner would.
Not some overzealous fanboy or some unpaid intern on Twitter.
Some jackasses on social media running spin for Al Heyman. I hope he's paying you guys to do that.
Adrian Broner said it then. He said it 2 weeks ago. They couldn't formulate a guarantee for either fighter.
You fast forward a bit, And Mike Coppinger, via his report detailing what the hell happened with that set of negotiations, he's saying the same thing. Terrence Crawford didn't stand to make any money up front, any guarantee. He wasn't offered anything.
Except a percentage of the net. A percentage of the upside, if there even were an upside.
Because you have to remember, there's no guarantee there is going to be an upside. That's what the guaranteed cash is for. In the event that the pay-per-view doesn't break even and there is no upside, at least the fighter gets something out of it.
What's interesting about this is that Adrian Broner, who in the past has expressed discontent with his current situation with Al Heyman, Stefan Espinoza, the PBC, and Showtime.
It seems that Adrian Broner has finally changed his decorum.
Whatever information he's privy to, whatever he was talking about 2 weeks ago, it was enough for Adrian Broner to finally jump ship.
And what was Adrian Broner talking about 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, what did he say?
Great Spirit.
You see what's going on with Showtime?
What's happening? What the fuck happening?
But
Man,
boxing?
nigga, what's happening? Tell everybody.
That shit damn near over with.
Showtime?
Yeah.
How the fuck?
They talking about Steven Espinoza done. Man, they saying that boxing shit over with. Almost like when Suge Knight went to go get Tupac out of jail for that 1.4 million, and then Tupac took his company to a whole nother level. I'm gonna do the same thing with BLK.
Adrian Broner likens this situation to the situation between Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur.
And that's an interesting parallel because in many ways what he's saying is that he has, in effect, been set free the same way that Tupac Shakur was set free.
Yeah, but that didn't exactly end well for Tupac, did it?
No, it didn't. So is this not going to end well for Adrian Broner? And what about Terrence Crawford? He's all wrapped up in this jackpot as well as David Avanesyan.
David Avanesyan, whose career is handled by Neil Marsh. Neil Marsh, who very recently spoke to ID Boxing, lended some insights into this entire situation.
Not with them whatsoever, but they do have a person I've spoke to quite a lot, someone who's very well known around one of the old pound for pound stars. We checked him out. We've looked at the what let's say wool on the back. There's companies in the UK and different things, and they seem to have like quite a considerable amount of money to come into boxing with. So I welcome them with both hands, and it's up to us to contractually protect David like we would against anybody. And, you do the normal things like make sure the money's in safe accounts the week before the fight, etc. And that's it really, mate. You've got to trust that Terrence isn't stupid as well. Terrence has decided to do the fight with him. Actual figures, what are being bandied about, I don't know if there's any truth. I don't pay any attention to it. He's the pound for pound star, we're not.
Almost like when Suge Knight went to go get Tupac out of jail for that 1.4 million. And then Tupac took his company to a whole nother level. I'm gonna do the same thing with BLK.
Whatever Adrian Broner knows about the current situation and the inner workings over there at Showtime and the PBC, whatever he knows, whatever he knows, it was enough for him to finally jump ship. It was enough for him to finally change his decorum after years of being a disgruntled, discomforted member of the PBC. He's not on PBC Island anymore.
Neil Marsh says that the people at Black Prime seem to have a substantial amount of money they mean to dedicate towards breaking into the sport of boxing. That's what Neil Marsh has to say about it.
Adrian Broner's been long complaining about his own finances for a very long time. The duration of his recent tenure over there at the PBC, and we know Terrence Crawford reportedly, he stands to make a couple extra millions from this David Avanesyan fight. A couple of millions for what many would describe as a keep busy fight, a tune-up fight.
What's happening at Showtime in the PBC? Or what's set to happen?
Is Adrian Broner the first of many PBC fighters or former PBC fighters set to wash up on the shores of Black Prime? Is this the beginning of an exodus?
One thing's for sure, there are questions that need answers.
Will Adrian Broner be the first of many PBC fighters that end up on the Black Prime platform? Under what circumstances has Adrian Broner finally been allowed to leave the PBC and go his own way? I mean, did they cut him loose?
It's not often you see PBC fighters leave the island.
It almost seems like the PBC has more fighters than they can afford to accommodate at their current budget. Their strained relationship with the people over there at Fox, who are said to be leaving boxing after this year. What's going on at Showtime? What is it exactly that Adrian Broner is privy to? What does he know? And
what he's basically saying is that boxing on Showtime is done, but we're still getting reports, we're still getting news of fights that Showtime is very much involved in negotiating.
Just yesterday, we were talking about the Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis fight, a set of negotiations that involves both Golden Boy Promotions, the DAZN platform, and the Showtime platform in tandem with Mayweather Promotions.
Conflicting information. The upcoming Tim Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo undisputed junior middleweight title fight. Where's that supposed to go down?
Because if it's the way that Adrian Broner says it is, and Showtime is all but out of boxing, where can we expect to see that fight if that fight takes place at all? And what about David Benavidez's ring return? What about the
now rescheduled Jose Uzcategui fight that was originally delayed because Jose Uzcategui tested positive for a banned substance?
More than one thing can be true at the same time. It's entirely possible that whatever information Adrian Broner is privy to,
Showtime in the sport of boxing might very well be on borrowed time. It's possible they're on borrowed time, but their time isn't up. Not yet.
Not quite. I told you, after Adrian Broner pulled out of the Omar Figueroa fight,
Remember?
You know, due to mental health issues. That's what he said. That I didn't believe mental health issues were the actual issue. I felt it was a money issue. I felt that for the money that was on the table for the Figueroa fight,
He decided to can that idea, can that fight, do something else.
and as a result of that, he would be finished on the Showtime platform. He would be finished.
And he is finished on the platform. He's on Black Prime now.
Are Showtime's days in the sport of boxing really numbered? And if so, what is that number? Will the merger with Paramount, the purge I should say, if Showtime really is on the verge of being phased out, will all those PBC fighters that have been fighting on that platform effectively become refugees? And if so, where will they go?
They're gonna end up on Black Prime like Adrian Broner.